Today on the Catch Up podcast, we're joined by Laura from Brave the Skies. How are you feeling, Laura?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming down today and joining us in the podcast suite.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's no worries. So I think we'll get straight into it because we've had a bit of a natter before and whatnot, warmed it up. But I want to find out a little bit about you first and foremost, because I think we've spoken for a few years now, maybe 2, 3, something like that. Just a little bit about you, the company, how you got into e-com and where you're going, basically.
Of course, yeah. So I'm currently Delivery and Operations Director at Brave the Skies. Brave the Skies is a Shopify Plus agency. We used to be based in New York, so I kind of feel like I always like halt when I come to say this. We're now remote based and kind of based within the north. So we have crew members from Edinburgh right down to Leeds, so it's kind of a nice northern mix. But yeah, Brave the Skies just focus on your traditional kind of consultancy, design and development solely on Shopify and Shopify Plus, which is really, really nice. I think kind of my role though specifically kind of does what it says on the tin. I'm kind of responsible for all things operations and all things delivery within the agency as well. Started at Brave the Skies around about 2 years ago now, when I was general manager and just generally doing a little bit of everything. Super great role, kind of learned a lot, and kind of split my role between me and the managing director, Lucy, and then kind of moved more towards that like kind of delivery and operations space. Kind of what I'm really responsible for is making sure that clients get such a good experience and also looking at the overall delivery within the agency. What are we actually pushing out and kind of how is it working for clients? Feel like I see the buzzword client experience so many times a day, but I think it's so important because it's definitely what stands us out from other agencies. Previous to Brave the Skies, I worked at Foster as operations manager, but I actually started at Foster as Ryan's PA, so Ryan's the founder. So I started as Ryan's PA and studio manager was my role at the time. So before that, I'd always just done like office manager and PA roles. And Ryan was actually kind of like, I don't know what the word is it pivotal in your that's the right word, isn't it? Pivotal in your career of like saying, well, actually, like I want to do more, and I think I was always like being proactive and kind of pushing and doing more. And I think it was at like maybe my 3 or 6 month reviews, like let's change your role to operations manager. And if he hadn't done that, I genuinely wouldn't be here where I am now. So I learned so much working at Foster. Like their roster of clients is absolutely great, which has really helped me kind of where I am at Brave the Skies. But yeah, previous to Foster, I was the PA and office manager girl for a long time.
That's such a crazy development, that, though, isn't it? Like, I suppose it shows that sort of willingness that we like talk about, where you want to have to do more, you want to know more, and you want to like develop.
Definitely.
And literally coming in as a PA and then being operations like manager immediately is like, whoa.
Definitely. And I think like it was such a confidence boost for me as well. Like I didn't take like a stereotypical path after kind of school all those years ago. Like I didn't go to uni, kind of didn't take that sort of knowing what I wanted to do in my career. I always knew I was like organised and like operations, but I didn't really know what that overall role looked like. Kind of flit around with a lot of different businesses and worked in retail quite a lot as well, and was like obviously PA are like C-suite professionals in the retail space, which was super interesting to kind of see how that's run. Learned so many do's and so many don'ts as well, as I'm sure you can imagine. But when I was like just after school, so like a long time ago, I was first introduced to Shopify, so I've kind of known of Shopify my whole career.
Oh, wow.
Because I worked merchant side, so I worked in a shop, and Foster actually built their site, so it's so crazy to go like full circle all those years later and work at Foster. And it was like an independent design store in Newcastle, based on Newcastle Quayside, and they got their store up and running on Shopify. So I was kind of used to working on Shopify then, which was great. Then to all those like years later now to be working at Shopify agencies is pretty full circle.
That's literally, my head's gone there completely. Like, as you say, I couldn't put it any better than full circle. Like coming from that merchant side, understanding that, and I think as well, one of the big things that I don't know if other people have backed this up, but having worked in retail, I'm not going to say it's as glamorous as what you were doing. I was Asda, so there you go. No disrespect. But the key part I think that's taught me is how efficient. I didn't really understand at the time, but looking back now and looking at that element of how to merchandise a store and looking at how you want people to move around a store is how supermarkets are laid out.
Totally.
And like you're talking about there with the customer experience in Shopify and that side of things. Do you think that obviously set you in that stead to then want to get into something like the online retail space as well?
Definitely, because I worked shop floor in retail, but I also worked back office in retail as well. So I've kind of done both sides of retail from that experience. And I think it's important now with me talking to merchants and kind of talking to our clients around, okay, well, I know what it's be like to work back office and kind of to look at the store, but I also know what it's like to be fundamental part of the business operations for a retail store and for an e-com store as well. And I think having all that experience, because yes, at the end of the day, Shopify is online, but the vast majority of our clients do have a physical store as well. And I think actually encompassing both sides of the business is really important. I think, yes, obviously we want to get people converting online, that's great, but there's also the personal shopping side of it as well. And I think at the end of the day, we want to make a personal shopping experience online, but there will always be some customers, and especially within the luxury space, that want to go and try something on or want to kind of get that really personalized experience. They don't just want to add a dress or add an item, a product to the cart that's hundreds of pounds or thousands of pounds without really understanding the product and its values and what it's around, and kind of having really that tailored experience. So it's really important to me that we're like building that personal shopping experience but online.
I completely agree. One of the big things that always fascinates me is like people buying engagement rings online. I can't imagine for the life of me ever sitting down and going, oh, there's 10 grand I'll never see again.
That one looks nice.
Yeah, that'll do. Let's have a go at that. Oh, it'll be here in 3 days. Great. Imagine the nerves waiting for that to come through the post.
Totally. I know. Funnily enough, one of our project managers, she used to work merchant side at a like really high-end jewelers, and she tells me like some sort of things kind of around what was bought online and stuff, and it baffles me that like that actually does happen. And that's great, because I think the e-com, it's doing the job correctly then, because actually someone feels trusted enough in the site, and they understand sort of that whole buying experience from like looking at the product to check out and to getting delivery through the door. Like that's lovely. But I think there's so much we can now do on online sites, like around AI, kind of around like, oh, you can video in and you can actually talk to someone and you can see that a product, but then you can still check out online. You can basically get a personal shopping experience but from the comfort of your sofa, which is great. Like that's perfect for me. We were just talking about how I really don't like to leave the house, so like for me that's great. And I think like that's just why we have to be so forward thinking with e-com, because that's only going to get, I think, more and more. I think kind of as we see, I don't know, maybe like the high street changing quite a lot as well, and like kind of e-com trends changing. I'll get my teeth in. Like it will change. People are so busy. Like you need that convenience, and it's like that convenience shopping, which is, it's nice, but you want it to look beautiful, and you want to kind of everyone to have a good experience on there.
100%. I think that's one of the things that sort of draws me to Shopify as well. Like when you look at a Shopify store or a Shopify Plus store in particular, the experience always seems to be crisp, clean, understood, and it's just natural. It doesn't feel like, and the biggest bane of my life now is still customers who come to us and they have a bespoke platform and it's been built by some guy in his shed somewhere. Yeah. And if that man got hit by a bus, there's no way of managing this at all, because he knows what he's done, nobody else knows.
No context.
So why not have something that is that easy to maintain and that easy to get up and going with, that you can then build on over time, like a Shopify store? Totally. And I think one of the things that we've sort of discussed before is how you guys have clients at a certain end of the scale, and then you'll have clients at another end of the scale, like top end. Is that something that you see Shopify really working for, that adaptability with merchants? Definitely. And I think the great thing about Shopify is, yes, you've got Shopify and you've got Shopify Plus, but you've also got the tiers around that as well. And Shopify caters for kind of full circle of clients. So I could go and set up a Shopify store if I wanted to, and that's fine. But you also have your merchants who are turning over millions of pounds, and Shopify really works for them as a solution. Especially partnering with third-party tech partners and kind of building up that really robust tech stack. That's really important, and I think Shopify is really adaptable to that. There is a lot of plug-and-play apps, so there's a lot of apps that integrate so like well and fine line with Shopify that like actually, yes, it's great that you've got that developer solution. We can build stuff natively, but we can offer a really nice experience. Honestly, the main selling point for me around Shopify is just how easy it is to manage for merchants as well. Like uploading product, changing the meta fields, adding the content. It's so simple, and I think like that's so good, because merchants don't want to be spending so much time asking a developer, can you make sure this content goes here? Actually, I just need this content changing. Can you update that as well?
you want to just be able to go in and do that. Like, the vast majority of our merchants have an in-house e-com team, and our crew need to be able to support them, but we can support them by adding new features to the customizer, and then they can run with it. They can turn it off, they can turn it on. I think Shopify 2.0 really helped with that as well. The update that came out, I want to say last year, but this year and last year really definitely wasn't this year. But years are really rolling into one for me. That was really beneficial because I think it put a lot of fundamentals in merchants' hands. They no longer needed to come to us and say, can you build us another section? They can go and duplicate that section and build a page for themselves. And I think that vastly changed how we offer projects, and how we offer projects in our project crew as well, which is, it's great because it allows us to work more collaboratively with merchants.
100% agree. And I think from our side as well, so we'll have merchants who are looking to re-platform, and this, I think, speaks volumes to the power of Shopify. You'll be like, oh, why are you looking to re-platform? And they'll be like, oh, we just want something new. And automatically the first word out their mouth will be Shopify.
Yeah.
Or Shopify Plus, something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's to do with, obviously, again, looking at the scale, you've got them top tier brands that are using it all across the world. And then you've got your local businesses that are using it. And like you say, that adaptability is priceless in actually developing a tool that works for any individual business.
Totally. And I think Shopify allows so much growth as well. And it's great. Like, some of the merchants we've worked with for 2, 3, 4 years now, and it's really good to look at their like past 2, 3 years growth and see how they've grown on the platform. And they've gone through the tiers, and now they're on Shopify Plus, and they're reaping all the benefits of that as well. And I think it's so nice because adaptable is such the right word to use. I think it kind of caters for anyone in this scenario, and it caters right up to those enterprise clients who are looking for that more luxury look and feel. You don't need to go for a fully bespoke platform anymore, because I always say you are getting a fully bespoke custom build. Like, we're custom building on Shopify. That's what our crew does. But you're getting all the benefits of the back end of Shopify, which is that kind of easy maintenance and updates, I suppose.
That's it. And again, none of them horrible security patches that other ones delve into. And
absolutely not. Like, hosting, everything included, it just makes such a difference. And I think that's it's just a key. It's not even a selling point because we're not like salesy, but it's just like, it goes in the pros list, doesn't it, when you're looking at Shopify?
Imagine being sat there at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night and you're like, oh, no security patch needed.
Yeah.
Great, everything's on fire. What do we do now?
Exactly. I think it just gives, like, is not trust the right word, but kind of gives, I don't know, like an element of security and like safety is the word I'm looking for, to merchants, because they know Shopify is there. Like, Shopify has its own web developers kind of looking at all this stuff and kind of keeping the platform maintained as best as it can. So yeah, we love it. That's why we solely specialise in it.
Thank God. I was waiting for that point. That's why we only do it. Yeah. I think as well, so we've covered off why Shopify is good, why merchants would use it. Obviously, and I know this is quite a dark point, not dark, that's horrible, but there you go. But kind of a different point. At the minute, there's a lot of challenges out there in e-com and retail on the whole.
Yeah.
Now, I get everybody's talking about it and how it's all looking. But there's certain elements that you look at within e-commerce that can be controlled by a merchant specifically, and how they can develop it. And again, we were talking a bit before, and we've noticed it as well, where people first saw the recession hit and maybe they were like, I don't know, they were sort of set up quite quickly, these businesses, maybe not that well thought about, shall we say, and they've gone pop. Now, that sort of thing happened again around COVID, where people went, right, this is hell, let's shut everything down and let's like batten down the hatches. Like, I suppose what I'm trying to ask here is, what sort of challenges are you guys encountering at the present?
Of course. I think, like, I hate to say the word, but we know recession is around, and it's an uncertain future, and I think the future is uncertain in any case, but I think there's very much more question mark kind of around where it's going to go in this year and kind of what the future looks like. And I think the key thing is that I'm seeing to our merchants at the moment is everyone from a consumer perspective right through to a merchant perspective is being a little bit more strategic with how they're spending their money. Even from a customer point of view, we know as consumers we're being a bit more thrifty with how we're spending as well. So it's just really important that if you're going to do something, it's thought out and it's the right thing. We've really seen, so at Brave the Skies we do kind of projects and we do those growth retainers as well. Something that we offer on like that quarterly basis is a strategy session. And I think we always look on a quarterly basis as like, right, okay, what are the goals for each individual merchant for the next 3 months or 6 months? We usually do it on a 3-monthly basis. And I think it's really important at the moment to pick a thing and let's run with it and let's go for it. And obviously it's kind of like you're looking at your conversion rates, you're kind of wanting to keep those retained customers. And I think buying patterns are massively changing at the moment, but if you've got loyal customers and you've got retained customers, at the end of the day they are going to keep coming back because they're bought into the brand values and they're bought into kind of the business, and they might say, okay, well, I'm saving up for that, but I am going to spend that, or I'm going to go back to that because I know the product's good, I know the customer service is good. Like, you need to get people bought into the brand. And I think kind of Andy, who's our creative designer, is always talking to merchants around brand storytelling and really getting kind of customers engaged in that. And I think you could Google a product and so many other of this like similar products, not the same, but similar products would come up on Google. But I think you won't just go and buy from kind of your odds and sods different retailer that, I don't know, might be doing something different. You kind of will go back to that same valued and that same valued merchant. So I think that is a bit of a challenge at the moment, and I think of course the future's uncertain, but we just need to try and retain the customers that we've got and kind of build up that big brand story and kind of security and loyalty. It's huge, and it's like, we know it with our favourite brands, like we'll always go back. You'll be browsing and then you'll be like, right, yeah, I'm going to buy. And it's just kind of making sure that they're doing that, and the shopping experience encompasses all of that, I suppose.
100%. I think where we'd seen it as well is that certain brands went down the highly sustainable route to target that customer group, and they were like, right, this is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have carbon neutral, packaging's going to be on point. It's going to be a mad unboxing experience for someone. Now, that was all very much a case of investing in your customer base and creating that, like you said earlier, that customer experience. Is that something that we could see fall by the wayside with the sort of landscape at present, do you reckon, or no?
I don't think so, you know. So I'm vegetarian, vegan. Like, I'm not going to say 100% vegan because my team will see me, my crew will see me eat mini eggs on call. So I'm not going to go down that route. But I don't think so, because I think more and more consumers are conscious of that. I think there's more and more talk around sustainability and around kind of that, I don't know, that like environmental piece. And I think, yes, consumers aren't going to go down the fully 100% like my t-shirt's biodegradable and all that sort of stuff, because we're not there as a world yet. I can see I've got so many views on this.
It's going well, listen, here we go.
But I think we have a merchant, the Cheesecake, and they do like sustainable cheese farming, and they're a super successful business, and we've worked with them for probably a couple of years now. And they have like a number of nice features on their site around like carbon neutral and kickbacks and stuff, and I think it's the add-ons that I think are really nice, and I think it's good for merchants to have that, because I think it's an overall talking point for sustainability in general. I don't think that's ever going to go away. There's like a number of other third-party merchants which I think are kind of pushing that, which is great, but I think you need to do what's right for the business, and it's not always right for every merchant. But I think if you're going to incorporate it, you kind of need to back it, and that needs to, like you say, go down to the off-site experience as well. You're pushing that on your e-com site, but it comes wrapped in plastic. It's kind of a bit of a mixed message, so you just have to make sure that the on-site and the off-site experience. And our retainer crew love doing that as part of the strategy session. Like, it's not all about how it's visually looking, it's actually when the customer lands on the site and then how they're actually going to receive the product. It's vitally important. If you get a crap product that comes to your house and it's broken, you're probably not going to shop there again, because it's been a terrible experience post-site. So it's making sure that that full journey will retain that customer and come back.
I think that's it as well. Like, as you mentioned, there've been brands where they've turned around and they've gone, oh look, we're carbon neutral now, but like I think the biggest one that I always see, and my dad will kill me for this because he's a massive fan of Amazon, is he'll order like a CD off Amazon. It comes in a box that a family of three
fit your sofa in. Yeah.
I'm like, why is this like this?
Exactly.
Like, makes no sense. But again, it's just making that gradual improvement. I think where I was looking at it is, you mentioned there about people will be willing to spend, but they'll be more conscious with it.
Definitely.
And with that sort of green aspect that's out there, that's a massive part in terms of tapping into that psyche, going, if I know this is made in a factory where everybody's paid well, they're living good, jobs are good, and there you go.
Yeah, I think that's a massive thing. And I think there's more and more knowledge around that, especially around kind of fashion retailers as well, and kind of around actually what that's looking like. And I think people are, especially consumers, are more and more likely to make a more, what's the word I'm looking for?
I was going to say wholesome. It's not wholesome, is it?
It's like, it's more of a conscious decision though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just around that. But no, I think it's here to stay.
There you go. I'll take that then. That's all good. So, obviously, towards the back end of last year, was it? You guys and Space 48?
Yeah, May, actually.
Was it actually? I thought it was back end.
Year. No, time flies. May last year, so we're coming up to a year. So Brave the Skies was acquired by Space 48's holding group, called Dark Matter Commerce. So they now own both Space 48 and Brave the Skies. It's been great, actually, the acquisition. I know there's so many kind of agencies here have been acquired. I don't want to say it's become a trend because I don't think it's a trendy thing, but you've heard about it quite a bit over the past 18 months, I would say. But for our acquisitions, nothing actually has really changed for Brave the Skies and the Brave the Skies crew. We solely do Shopify and Shopify Plus builds, and that's kind of here to stay. That's not changing and hasn't changed at all. Space 48 are a multi-platform agency that kind of do your platform builds, but also that sort of digital marketing piece as well. And it's actually just been great to now be able to offer our merchants an in-house sort of solution for that. You don't have to say, actually, you need to go out to another agency. We can kind of say, oh, you need SEO support, go to Space 48, they're our sister agency. So for that, it's been really beneficial because I think we kind of a little bit in control around setting up calls and introductions and kind of making sure that the client's still receiving the service we would want. Because I think I said before, like, client experience for us is kind of top notch, and it's always kind of a little bit of a worry if you're recommending one of your great clients to someone else. You're going to hope that they're going to get the same experience elsewhere. And it doesn't always happen, and it's super frustrating. And I think you have to be confident with where you're going with that. And with Space 48, we know they're in absolutely great hands. So that's been really nice. Kind of myself and Lucy and Andy have support from their leadership team as well. So that's been great. But with regards to kind of what we do and what we offer, nothing's changing. We're just really solidifying ourselves as the Shopify part of the group, if you like.
The little world over there. I was going to say that as a thing as well. Like, you guys were always a name that stood out to me in the Shopify space. Those guys always stood out in Magento and BigCommerce and other areas. Again, combining the two just seems so logical to create that. You've literally got everything, like you say, and like you say, that I'm sure we've all had experience where even in like personal life, where you're like, oh, that builder's good, and they turn up and they've just, I don't know what they've done, like they've built a statue of someone in your garden, great. But it's just that having that familiarity and being able to work like that, and again, make sure that everything's under your control, as you say.
Definitely, and I think that works so well, and I think it's good for us to kind of be able to tap into that knowledge. We do, like I was saying, design, development and consultancy, because we know we're experts in those three fields. We have a design crew, a development crew and consultancy who we are 100% confident in kind of that offering. And it's nice to know that actually, okay, we know so-and-so at Space 48, they're an expert in this field, let's go and introduce you to them. So it's just all about kind of having those expertise and providing the best possible solution to the merchants after all. I'm just going to say as well, crew, not team, but there you crews. Go. Yeah, we're really, really back our Space branding, if you hadn't already known that. We love an astronaut headshot, and we kind of, we call. So we internally have Apollo crew, Artemis crew, Skylab crew. They're all named after NASA space launches. We're doing this all wrong, by the way. Like, we've just got team names of what we do. No, you need crew. It was crazy yesterday, actually. So me, Maisie, who's one of our growth managers, and Andy, who's our creative director, were on the train down to London. And we were on a table of four, and there was a guy sitting next to me. and we were going through our pitch, and like our decks are very space backed. Andy has just done us an amazing like kind of rebrand, I'm gonna call it. We're still very much going with the space theme, but it just looks unreal. I can't wait for kind of that to get out in public. And the guy who was sitting next to me said, can I just ask what it is that you do? And I'm like, oh yeah, we build e-com sites. He said, oh, do you use space, Brandon? I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, he worked, I'm gonna get his title all wrong, but basically he used to work for NASA, and he used to like be part of the launch in the spaceships, and now he does something, I can't remember what he said his job was now, but it's based in the UK. And we were like, this, you couldn't have written it. So he was talking to us all about that. I honestly felt like I was a real astronaut after the conversations. I was like, we'll make you a quick astronaut headshot. I learned so much. I was thinking, what are the odds of that?
That's insane, you
Isn't
know.
it?
Just on a random little LNER
LNER trained in London. Like, literally could not have wrote it. And he was like, I was just looking, thinking, oh yeah, that's all the NASA branding.
She's got an astronaut headshot. She's been to space as well. Here we go.
I was like, I haven't actually been to space, but I do have the headshot.
That's great. That's absolutely insane. Like,
I know. Told everyone yesterday, all the clients I was meeting, I was like, guess what happened to me today? Don't know why I was telling them all that, but I've told you as well, so now everyone knows.
I tell you what, the world knows now, but it's another one of them things where you're looking at it and like, you know, it's another thing that stands you apart, I think, is just looking at the overall brand that the company comes with. I remember the first time looking at the site and just seeing this massive ape's head in a space suit and going, what's going on here?
Yeah. I think we at the end of the day, like, we're kind of all millennials, like, and we really understand kind of e-com, and we kind of really back the brand. And I think that's what helps us as well, because we understand our brand, so we can really get into the mind space of our merchants' brands as well, which is nice. We're kind of not just a run of the mill, which is nice.
You've got I mean, I suppose there's that much competition out there. You've got to differentiate yourself, and that's a hell of a way to do it.
Definitely. Like, if clients want an astronaut headshot, we'll give them an astronaut headshot. Like, everything's super branded up, and I think it's nice for us. We have our core values, and like, we're very chatty, we're very kind of big on communication, and at the end of the day, like, that kind of helps. Like, you could be the best possible designer and developer, but if the communication's so bad around it, like, you're just creating such a bad service. So I'm going to say it again, client experience is just like, it's the 101 though, isn't it? It's like, you need that because it needs to support the excellent work that's going alongside it. It's
got to be. Very quick then, on the client side of things. Again, we sort of touched on this before, and you mentioned a client in particular, the Cheese Geek, was it? So I'm guessing you don't just specialise in cheese.
No.
There are other elements to it, but is there a certain specialism you have? Like, what do you guys look for?
Of course. So I think at the moment we're very much in the fashion and lifestyle space. So kind of your lifestyle could be, we have kind of furniture brands. We have a beautiful brand, Taller Lighting, who sell like luxury lighting. Got the Cheese Geek kind of fall under the lifestyle brand as well. And then we have so many fashion sites as well. Kind of around your female and male, like luxury retail and fashion spaces, which is great. But I think for us, what's nice is, although fashion and lifestyle, it's so different, we have a really nice clientele who really back their brand. And I think merchants come to us because they love our design and they love what we're doing with the development side of stuff as well. And I think our design crew see the vision and they really kind of get involved with the brand aspect of it. We launched On, which is a women's wellness brand, just before Black Friday actually, and their site is unbelievably good. Like, they're doing such disruptive things with their marketing and their branding, and their site really shows that. But then you might look at a site like Drake's Menswear that we also launched last year, and they're kind of a lot more slick and kind of luxury space. But at the end of the day, all the requirements are the same, are kind of around branding and getting the customer values right. So visually, our sites are poles apart, but the fundamental elements are all the same.
I think that's, again, loops back into the piece about Shopify, doesn't it? Like, what you can achieve with it is just there for all to see.
Definitely. And we only offer custom builds, which is great because it gives such flexibility around kind of the design and the development side of stuff. And I always say to merchants, kind of when we're talking to new merchants, kind of around possible sales opportunities, like, have a look at our portfolio, but everything's going to look so different. So it's not just a one size fits all. You're not just getting a theme off the shelf and kind of you'll put your branding in, but all the products will look the same and the tiles will look the same and the add to cart will be the same. Like, everything is so different. And I think that's what's really nice about Shopify as well, is it's so customizable, and it allows Shopify merchants, to have that unique experience. Like, you can look at so many Shopify sites and they'll all be different, and it's so nice, because I think that's what makes it so unique.
That's it. Like, as you say, just people spend so long curating a brand and making it what it is. Like, especially Drakes, who've been around years, and bringing them, not to sound too spacey here, but into the future sort of thing, with a modern Shopify twist on it.
Definitely.
It is the sort of thing that you want to see, because that's how brands keep evolving and moving forwards. And likewise, I think there's interesting points. I was looking around, was it Rixo who you did the site for? Now, I've always been a fan of that because of the way that the categories laid out and the way that the product pages are laid out, straightforward, to the point, with the information you need. So it's not... Typically, you can look at a brand like that and you'll see things and it's like the description's like 9 mile long, and you go, oh, what do we do with this then? I don't really need to know about this. But in terms of the way it's all done and delivered, it's all... it's just that neater experience that, like you say, can be twisted to whatever you want if you're a different style of merchant as well.
Totally. And I think that's the great thing about having that custom design element as well, because we want to capture all the information. That information needs to be somewhere on the site, but we need to have like quick bullet points around, like, this is what we're looking at, this is what the dress is made of, kind of, this is what the materials are, can it be recycled, like, how do you repair it? That's all really great. And I think it's kind of ensuring the customers don't get bored on that product page and say, like, all right, I'm off, I'm gonna go make my tea instead. Bye. Where they're super engaged, and it's visually exciting for them to look at, because if you're looking at something that's exciting, you're more likely to convert and check out. If you're looking through something that's a bit dull and you don't really like the look of it, you're going to be like, oh, that was all right, but it's not selling. And like, good products and good product photography and brand, I'm not going to say it sells itself, but it massively helps towards that. If you don't have those like great imagery and that lovely brand and product behind it, it's not really doing anything around it. But yeah, it's nice. I think we work with amazing clients, and we're super lucky to kind of have the client roster that we do.
That's cool, isn't it? I think I remember, especially like we were talking about earlier, but during COVID, where businesses were sprouting up, and you'd see like someone knock up a Shopify store in seconds, and it'd be like selling cupcakes or whatever, and you'd look at it, it'd be tuck on like what looked like a Motorola Razr or something, and you'd be like, I can't even tell what this is from looking at it. Like, it's just a square, like a pixel. And like you say, if you can't see the product, and I think, again, Gymshark do a good job of it. And you look at ASOS, where they'll have the model moving around and whatnot, and it's like, model is 6'3" and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday, actually, because we were saying, like, size guides are great, but you're not going to... Well, I'm not. But I'm probably not going to go and measure my hips and see if that's going to be the right size. Where if I look at that and I say, well, actually, that model's 5'7", she wears a size 10, like, I'm going to be like, all right, okay, I know what size I'm going to have to get. And I think information like that is so important, because you want to be shopping conveniently. You don't want to have to go and, like you say, like, measure this or do that. And I love that kind of around AI and stuff now, how adding that to the sites, and you can view your sofa in your living room and see if it's going to fit, and put the lamp on the table and see, like, or put the lamp on the ceiling and be like, actually that doesn't look quite right, that's going to be too big, that's going to be too long. And it's just so beneficial, because you don't want to have to go to a store, bring the lamp home, is it the right size, is it not the right size? You want to actually be able to do that there and then.
It's like what you were saying earlier about the convenience of buying a product that might be £3,000 or upwards or whatever, and actually being able to put it in your living space and visualize living with it is like,
of course,
it's like it is a game changer. And it's one of those things that I think, what were we looking at the other day, there was one where it was like a virtual try on for like t-shirts and stuff like this, and it was a Shopify tool, and it was literally, I was stood there, please don't judge me, but I was stood there at my desk and I was like
trying them on.
I was like, what's going on here? Like, I'm playing around with something that's on the screen thinking it's real, and it's because I feel so immersed in that experience that...
Totally.
Is it another thing where it plays with my head and I go, right, I've done so much now to feel immersed with it that I may as well go on and buy this now because I understand it.
Definitely. Well, we work with a third party and they do that, and you can actually, on your phone, press on the shoes you want and they'll put the shoes on your feet. And you can, like, kind of move your feet around, snap a watch on your wrist, and it's like so great, and like you using that and you'd be like, actually yeah, those trainers do look good on me, I'm gonna buy them, because you can see them on your feet now, can't you, rather than seeing them on a model being like, is that gonna suit my style? Like you've seen them now with your jeans, like go ahead and buy them, and it just makes that conversion so much better.
100%, like putting it in perspective for people and going,
totally,
there you go.
Yeah.
Right, well, I think we can wrap that up there, Laura. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
No worries, enjoyed it.
Thank you.
BBC Breakfast complete. Bang.